Hello and welcome to Surprise We Both Love Movies. This week we're going to be reviewing the movie Malcolm and Marie starring John David Washington and Zendaya. Now this story is about a young man, probably in his 30s, and he's a director, and he's come to home for this night. It's a very intimate movie. It's in black and white, and he comes home after, actually the couple come home, him and Zendaya's character, come home, and they're talking about what happened at this premiere of his movie and how this couple goes through this tense fight throughout this movie. It's very, very relevant. It's very authentic, and it's very visceral. This fight, yeah. It kind of just shows like the it's kind of like a chess match. This type of fighting that they have. It's like, yes, one has one move and then the other one makes another move. And for me, it really, really was just, I felt like I was looking at myself at times. I was like, ooh, Dad, that's what I would have said. And then she said something. I was like, ooh, yeah, she was right on about that. And it was just very honest. I mean, it was really one of the most honest movies I've seen. It really reminded me of Whatever Happened to Virginia Woolf, in the sense that there's this just dialogue that goes back and forth. And it's just so tense and so honest that you just are just blown away. Yeah. But what did you think of it, Aaron?
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell people right off the bat I would never watch this movie again because it became very grating to me. Because first of all, there are no other actors in the film. It's both. They're the only two people in the entire movie, and they carry it. It's like one shot from beginning to end. You basically go through their night and what they go through from the time they get there until they go to bed. And then there's a little bit at the end after they wake up from going to sleep that night, which was really early in the morning. Would you call it late in the morning? Yeah. But Washington is Denzel Washington's son. Okay. For people who don't know, when you see this, he is Denzel Washington's son. What's funny is my wife didn't watch this with me. I was watching it alone in the other room. I said, oh my gosh, he sounds exactly like his dad. He doesn't look like his dad, but he sounds exactly like his dad. And he's got a dead ringer. His voice is very much like his dad. You can tell it's him. The only thing I know Zendaya from is from the Spider-Man movies. I don't know her from her Disney days. I've never seen her prior to this. Their performances were amazing. Okay. I'm sorry, but those people should not be together. If you have that much of an issue that you go back and forth that much in a 3 or 4 hour period, yeah, you shouldn't be together. And he was extremely verbally abusive towards her. And she was like bipolar with what she did. She would turn on a dime. And I found it very annoying because I've never been in a relationship like that. Now, not to say I haven't had arguments with my wife in the past, but it's the one area of my life where I've never had to go to bed upset or be vindictive towards my wife. Like I've never had the experiences that these two had. It's a very unhealthy situation they're in, and those two should not be together because of the way they played off of each other. And to that point, that's what the whole movie was. And this is what people have to understand. It goes in slow and then builds up. And then it's just back and forth for the entire movie. And I got to the end and I'm just like, I was exhausted. I was absolutely exhausted. It's filmed extremely well, though. I mean, it's compelling. You're going to be engaged the entire time.
Right.
But at the end, I would never watch this movie again. So what were your feelings?
Oh, man, I just loved it. Like I said, man, it's so cerebral and just so filled with emotion. And I've had arguments, not as long as I've had similar arguments in my relationships where I've felt that like frustration. I've never cussed. I mean, there was times where there's a lot of cursing in this movie, like tons of it, like to the point where you're like, you know what? If someone said that to me, I'd be flying off the handle. And they remained calm. And it was really interesting because you knew that they still like throughout this in this deep and just kind of gut punching type of argument, but so just smart on both sides and so heartfelt that it was just like a 12-round boxing match where you just were rooting. You didn't know who you were rooting for, but you knew you were seeing something just great. And that's what that fight was, because you knew that at the end of the day, they still loved each other. And yeah, their dynamic doesn't work like, you know, you and your wives or me and my relationships. And, you know, it's different, but there's something very
Unhealthy.
universal about it as well, where everyone has had a moment. Maybe they didn't have a night like this, but they've had moments like that where someone is so brutally honest with you and telling you some truth that maybe you don't want to hear. And you're maybe sharing some truths about them that they maybe don't want to hear. But at the end of the day, when you come together, you know that, you know what, I'm better off for it. And that's what this movie is.
You're going to have that with your relationships. I mean, you're going to have those moments where you play off of each other and there's truth on both sides, but it's in snippets. It's not in a big, compact, you know, back and forth death match like this. And I was convinced by the end of this movie, one of them was going to be dead. I was convinced. No, I got that sense through this, that it's building up and it's building up. And I thought one of them was going to end up dead. I want people to know going in, no one ends up dead. Okay. And I don't want people to think that, because you might get that same sense that I did, but it was vicious.
It was.
And it is loaded with language. To your point, I don't think I have seen this much language in any movie ever.
No, it was a lot.
It was off the charts crazy. So this is a movie that is not for kids.
No.
You have to be able to stomach it. The actors carry their scenes, but here's my score on this. Okay. As a movie, I could probably give it an 8 on the first watch. Okay. Because it's compelling. Like, it's going to keep you engaged. You want to know what's going to happen next. It's really good at keeping you engaged. As a film, I debated a 6 or a 7. It's like, I'm never going to watch it again. It's compelling, but I would never watch it again. Great performances, but it's only them. So those are my scores there. I'd have to give it a little bit less on a film, because I don't think I'm going to gather anything new on a second watch. Like, it's all in the open.
Well, that's where we see this differently. For me, I was able to give it an 8 as a movie too. You can't. It's like watching, you know, and you know, it's hard. It's like when you drive by an accident and you're like, oh, you're like, oh, do I know that car? That's what this movie is.
Yes.
Right? But as a film, and here's why I classify it as a film. I was really debating as a film whether it's a 9 or a 10, and I'm gonna go out as a film because it's just so raw and it's so unique, and you can watch it with 2 hours of two people talking, and I wasn't bored for 1 second.
No.
And I could watch it again. Like you said, I wouldn't necessarily want to like jump into it again like next week or anything like that.
Right.
But if I watch it again, I think I'd be able to pick up on some things that, you know, some truths that they were sharing about each other, and maybe understand it in a different way and look at it more from her side. Because this side, the first time I watched it, I'm like, yeah, come on, John David Washington, give it to me, tell the truth, get it, you know. And then he would say something, I'd be like, oh, damn, yeah, she got you there. So I think I could gain something from watching it again. So I am going to go on a limb. I'm going to give my first 10 as a film for Malcolm and Marie. I just saw a lot of myself in that character, a younger version of myself in that character. And
he's younger than you.
He's younger than me. And he has that mentality of a younger version of me. But I was like, stand your ground, man, stand your ground. And I enjoyed it from beginning to end.
Yeah. I just can't give it higher on a film. I just can't, because like I said, it's not something I'd choose to want to revisit because it was so raw. And I like your analogy, because it's like a train wreck that you see two trains heading towards each other and you're waiting for that final crash. That's what it felt like the whole film, like something really terrible was going to happen.
But there was these moments of sweetness too. There were these moments of tenderness and pure like just love. And
that's why I said it's bipolar, because it's unhealthy. You shouldn't be able to switch it on and off that easily. And
yeah, they did.
But I mean, that's the beauty of it. You know, to your point, when you find out more of her backstory as the film goes on, you can see where she is at the beginning of the movie. So you could gain a little bit more going in with more knowledge, but would it warrant, to me, it doesn't warrant another viewing. I couldn't sit through it again. It was just, there were a couple of times where Washington had some speeches he had to give that rambled on and on and on. And I just couldn't go through those speeches again. Yeah. How he memorized his lines and how much of that was ad-libbed, I'd be curious, because there are a couple of times where he literally goes on for like 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just like, what the heck?
Yeah, it was, but every word was, the dialogue was so good. It wasn't like he went over 10 minutes. You're like, oh goodness, dude, I get your point. It was like, oh yeah, good, yeah, oh, dude, keep going. So it was refreshing. So
yeah. That's all we have for you this week on Surprise We Both Love Movies. If you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell as we have new content come out. We appreciate everybody who's here with us on this ride. You can find us on podcasts on all kinds of different services. So you pick your service, we're probably on there. And we do appreciate everyone coming out. So that's all we have for you this week. I'm Aaron Fisher.
I'm Lamont Lovejoy.
We'll see you guys next time.